The cancel culture, overly sensitive feelings, ballistic reactions to controversial ideas, and censorship. Those are just a few of the reasons some well-known writers are leaving their glossy perches and landing at Substack.
All the cool kids are doing it, packing up their writing materials and moving them to Substack. So wait, what is that anyway?
The post page is where you can create new posts.
Substack is essentially a writer's dream come true. A subscription email newsletter where you communicate directly with your readers. Well-known and high-performing writers like Andrew Sullivan and Matt Taibbi left lucrative posts in the mainstream media to join Substack, as did The Intercept's Glenn Greenwald.
We're just providing a service that allows business people to come and monetize their journalism or their writing.
And apparently Substack has been very good for writers, with both Sullivan and Taibbi raking in the dough.
Matt Taibbi was at Rolling Stone, like one of the most coveted gigs, Matt is making more money than he's ever dreamed he would make.
Greenwald left The Intercept, which he founded, over what he described as a censorship issue. He says that's a growing problem on all social media sites and something Substack does not do.
I love being on Substack. It's like a throwback to the days of how I started, right? When I was just a blogger, I wrote my own column. I only was answerable to my audience.
While most of the success stories are white men who were already well established, there are some up-and-comers too. Like freelancer Patrice Peck, who writes coronavirus news for black folks, and Boston College historian Heather Cox Richardson, who is nearing celebrity status with her Letters from an American. Sounds like it's stacking up nicely.
Susie, I had never heard of this, but I have to say I'm intrigued already. I went on to look for something that Matt Taibbi had written. I did not sign up. I did not send any money. Bingo, into my inbox comes an email from him basically soliciting me to sign up for Substack, which I'm thinking I might. There's a couple of things in there I really wanted to look at.
Yeah, I mean, the technology solution part is great. Let me just start, though, by saying that it's the least surprising thing in the world that big famous writers don't want to be edited.
Yeah.
The thing we all know to be the case. And it's definitely true that for people like Sullivan or Greenwald, who are making, something like $200,000 to $500,000 a year doing this is a great option. But the reality is these are, $6, $7, $8 subscriptions a month. There's only so many of these subscriptions people are going to be able to sign up for. So I don't see this having the sort of halo effect and being scalable in the way that you sort of would need it to be. And also, I have to say that it's always really ironic to me to hear men like Greenwald and Sullivan talk about cancel culture when they're being featured. I mean, we're showing them being featured in the New York Times and the Guardian and New York Magazine. I mean, they're screaming about cancel culture from their very large platforms, right? And it's those very large platforms that are making it possible for them to be successful.
That's true.
Area. So sort of feels like it's still going to really preference a certain kind of person who already has privilege to be on these platforms.
I think Susie hit the nail on the head. So far, I have not become a Substack subscriber. I just do not have the time to consume that much media in my life. I do notice that the people making the money there so far are all people who were big names, who made their names at other major media outlets. Also interested to read that they have a metric that they use when they choose Substack writers, and it basically is fashioned on your Twitter following. Basically, are you an influencer, and do you get traction, and do we want you for the platform? And I know Dan has written about this, and he'll talk about it, but I think he may be right. What goes around comes around. This is a blogging 2.0 or 3.0 or whatever you want to call it. It's essentially blogging with a toll booth. So, but good for them. Good for them. If they can make money and people do it and it's successful, fine. I don't see anything tremendously new, but we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with people, making money for themselves. I do have a problem with, as Susie says, about some of these people complaining about how it was so hard for them before. Ooh, boo-hoo. No, it wasn't. I just don't care to hear that. I don't know how much a Patrice Peck is making in that space. I mean, I hope she's doing okay.
I heard she's doing well.
Well, I think that's great, but she's not doing Andrew Sullivan money. No. Let's talk about that. So for me, I think it would be, I should be the person they're appealing to. And there's not anybody I can think of I want to see that much, in my inbox. I have to go with Mike on this. I'm reading so much other material and great folks out there. This seems to be excessive. I will say I would like the opportunity and not to be besieged like you were, Emily, to sort of just look around. And before I would sign up for anybody and see who's out there, you want that serendipity. And if they're always like on you, oh, for God's sake, I don't want all that.
Well, in fact, Patrice Peck is not doing well. She tells CJR that she is frazzled and exhausted and not making that much money. And that's what Substack is going to be. It's going to be very lucrative for a few people at the top who'd already made a name. And it's just going to be very difficult for everybody else. This drives me crazy because, Glenn Greenwald says, well, this makes me think of blogging again. Yeah, it sure does. 15 to 20 years ago, we all heard that blogging was the big revolution and it was going to change everything. Well, it developed into a nice niche. I still write a blog. But the idea that it was going to change the world turned out not to be true. Substack is just a better platform for blogging and newsletter writing. They've got some nice tools. The payment tool is certainly very nice.
Yeah, there was no monetary gain from any form of blogging, Dan, before this. Really, none.
Well, but you could. Well, actually,
Andrew
Sullivan did, and he made a living at it.
Yeah, he sold ads.
He sold ads. How many $6 a month subscriptions are you going to pay for an individual writer? I think I've already found my baseline, and it's basically zero.
There was a couple of things I wanted to read, but I just wanted to read one of them. I didn't want to sign up for, the whole thing. So, but I may go back.